Imagine standing in the streets of Medina on the day that changed history forever, a day when hearts were shattered, tears flowed without restraint, and an entire nation struggled to believe that the messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, had returned to his Lord. What Islam's 1,400-year history says about this unforgettable moment is that the greatest tests often arrive immediately after the greatest blessings, revealing who remains firm when certainty is shaken. The Muslim community had spent more than 2 decades learning directly from the Prophet, receiving divine guidance through his words, actions, and example. Yet now they faced a future without his physical presence. Confusion spread rapidly because grief clouded judgment, and many companions could not imagine life continuing after such an immense loss. Some believers stood frozen, others wept openly, and many wondered how the young Islamic nation could survive the storm that had suddenly descended upon it. At that decisive moment, one man displayed extraordinary faith, remarkable wisdom, and unwavering trust in Allah. That man was Abu Bakr As-Siddiq, the closest friend of the Prophet, the first adult male to embrace Islam, and the companion who had sacrificed wealth, comfort, and safety for the cause of truth from the earliest days in Mecca until the final moments in Medina. His life had already become a powerful testimony of loyalty, sincerity, and complete submission to Allah, but the greatest responsibility of his journey was only beginning. Instead of allowing emotions to overcome faith, Abu Bakr reminded the believers of the eternal reality that every soul belongs to Allah and that only Allah lives forever without end. His calmness during overwhelming sorrow restored clarity to countless hearts and transformed despair into determination. The companions gradually recognized that the mission of Islam did not end with the passing of the Prophet because the guidance of the Quran remained, the teachings of the Sunnah remained, and the promise of Allah remained unchanged. Yet this realization did not remove the enormous challenges waiting beyond that painful day. Dangerous rumors began spreading across Arabia. Some tribes questioned their loyalty to the Muslim state. False claimants to prophethood emerged seeking power, and enemies watched closely, believing the Muslim community would soon collapse under the weight of grief and uncertainty. The future of Islam appeared to stand on the edge of a cliff where one wrong decision could have changed history forever. In those uncertain hours, few people could imagine that the quiet, humble, and deeply compassionate Abu Bakr would become the leader chosen to protect the unity of the Ummah through one of its darkest chapters. His story is not merely about political leadership or historical achievement. It is about faith remaining stronger than fear, conviction standing taller than confusion, and trust in Allah overcoming every obstacle that seemed impossible for ordinary human strength alone. The responsibility that now rested upon the shoulders of Abu Bakr was unlike anything the Muslim Ummah had experienced before, because every decision carried consequences that would shape the future of Islam for generations to come. What Islam's 1,400-year history says about this remarkable period is that true leadership is measured not by comfort during peaceful times, but by courage when every path appears uncertain. Soon after his appointment as the first caliph, the young Islamic State faced a wave of crises that threatened its very foundation. Several tribes abandoned their commitment to the Muslim community, refusing to fulfill their obligations, while others followed individuals who falsely claimed prophethood in pursuit of influence and power. Across the Arabian Peninsula, many observers believe that the unity established by Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, would quickly disappear, leaving Medina isolated and vulnerable. The situation grew even more critical because experienced companions understood that a single mistake could encourage rebellion to spread across every region. Despite these overwhelming dangers, Abu Bakr remained unwavering in his reliance upon Allah and refused to allow fear to replace justice or truth. He understood that preserving the unity of the Ummah required firm principles guided by wisdom rather than hesitation driven by uncertainty. With patience and determination, he organized the Muslim forces to confront the widespread rebellions known in history as the Ridda Wars, not out of a desire for conquest, but to protect the integrity of the faith and maintain the unity established through years of sacrifice. His decisions demanded extraordinary courage because many respected companions initially questioned whether such immediate action was wise while the Muslim community was still grieving. Yet Abu Bakr recognized that delaying justice would only strengthen division and encourage greater instability. As the campaigns unfolded, victory did not arrive instantly, and every report from distant regions carried both hope and anxiety. Families in Medina waited for news, wondering whether the fragile state would survive or whether the enemies surrounding them would finally succeed in destroying everything the Prophet, PBUH, had built. Or whether the enemies surrounding them would finally succeed in destroying everything the Prophet, PBUH, had built. Suspense filled every passing day because the outcome remained uncertain, and history itself seemed balanced upon a narrow edge. Then, through the mercy of Allah, the tide slowly began to change. One by one, the rebellions were overcome, false claimants lost their influence, and unity gradually returned to the Arabian Peninsula. The success of these efforts demonstrated that steadfast faith, combined with wise leadership, could overcome challenges that once appeared impossible. Yet Abu Bakr understood that another danger still remained hidden beneath the surface. Many of the noble companions who had memorized the Quran had sacrificed their lives in battle, raising a concern that future generations might lose portions of the sacred revelation if immediate action was not taken. Guided by foresight and sincere concern for the Ummah, Abu Bakr initiated the historic effort to collect the Quran into a unified written compilation, preserving the words of Allah with extraordinary care and authenticity. This remarkable decision became one of the greatest services ever performed for Islam, ensuring that the divine revelation would remain protected for believers throughout every century that followed, while his legacy continued to inspire generations with unwavering faith, humility, wisdom, sacrifice, and complete trust in Allah. As the years of Abu Bakr's caliphate continued, the strength of the Muslim Ummah no longer rested upon fear of its enemies, but upon renewed confidence in the guidance of Allah and the principles established by his messenger, PBUH. What Islam's 1,400-year history says about the legacy of Abu Bakr is that the greatest leaders are remembered not because they sought honor for themselves, but because they dedicated every moment of their lives to serving Allah and protecting the people entrusted to their care. Although his time as the first caliph lasted only a little more than 2 years, the impact of his leadership reached far beyond his own lifetime. He strengthened justice, encouraged sincerity, safeguarded the unity of the believers, and ensured that the foundations of the Islamic State remained firm during its most vulnerable period. His humility never disappeared despite carrying the highest responsibility in the Muslim world. He continued to live simply, avoiding luxury and placing the needs of the Ummah before his own comfort. Every decision reflected his deep awareness that leadership was a trust from Allah rather than a privilege to be enjoyed. His example reminds every generation that true success comes through honesty, sacrifice, patience, and complete reliance upon the Creator. The preservation of the Quran under his direction became one of the greatest blessings for humanity, ensuring that the words revealed to Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, would remain protected exactly as they were revealed. The unity he restored during the Ridda Wars prevented the Muslim community from fragmenting at a time when its future appeared uncertain, allowing Islam to continue spreading its message of mercy, justice, and guidance across nations and generations. His life also teaches that courage is not always displayed through physical strength alone, but through remaining steadfast upon truth when the entire world expects surrender. When grief threatened to overwhelm the believers, he restored hope through faith. When division threatened to weaken the Ummah, he restored unity through wisdom. When uncertainty surrounded the future, he trusted completely in Allah and acted with conviction instead of hesitation. His remarkable journey continues to inspire millions of Muslims because it proves that sincere faith can transform ordinary individuals into extraordinary servants of Allah, whose influence lasts for centuries. Every challenge he faced became an opportunity to demonstrate that leadership begins with character before authority, with responsibility before recognition, and with service before status. More than 14 centuries later, the name of Abu Bakr As-Siddiq, R.A., remains a shining example of loyalty, humility, wisdom, sacrifice, and unwavering belief. His story reminds us that history is not shaped only by great victories, but also by quiet moments of faith when a single righteous person chooses truth over fear and trust over doubt. The lessons of his life continue to guide hearts seeking purpose, reminding believers that every trial carries the opportunity to strengthen faith and that Allah never abandons those who sincerely rely upon Him. May we strive to embody the sincerity, courage, compassion, and steadfastness that define the life of Abu Bakr, R.A., drawing inspiration from his remarkable example as we face the challenges of our own time with faith, patience, and hope. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.